The forest of Jetavana radiated peace as the disciples gathered around Buddha, their faces serene yet eager for wisdom. The light from the setting sun filtered through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground. Buddha sat cross-legged on a simple mat, his posture upright yet relaxed. His presence exuded a calmness that seemed to still the very air around him. The disciples watched in silence, their breaths synchronized in quiet anticipation. Buddha began to speak, his voice measured and clear, resonating like a gentle stream against smooth stones. "Breath is life," he said, "and within life lies all that you seek. Pay attention to your breathing now." He paused, allowing his words to settle, while the disciples adjusted their postures to focus. Feel the air as it enters your nostrils, cool and refreshing. Notice as it leaves, warm and carrying away tension. His instructions were simple, yet they carried a depth that demanded careful attention. The Buddha nodded, acknowledging the weight of her confession. "These thoughts you describe, do they serve any purpose, Anaya?" She looked up, startled by the simplicity of his question. "How do I still them?" Buddha turned his gaze to Sariputta, his eyes soft but penetrating. "The mind is like a restless monkey," he said. "It leaps from branch to branch, always seeking distraction. Guide it gently." His hands moved in a gesture of containment, as if cradling something delicate. "Do not fight the monkey," he continued, "but offer it a perch. That perch is your breath." The disciples closed their eyes, their breathing becoming the rhythm of the gathering. The rustling leaves seemed to harmonize with their breaths. Buddha observed them, his expression unwavering, his presence like an anchor in the midst of their practice. "Each breath connects you to this moment," he said, his voice breaking the silence. "In this moment, there is no past or future, only being." A light breeze swept through the grove, as if the forest itself acknowledged the truth in his words. Each step felt insignificant at first, but as the distance grew, the pebbles seemed to grow heavier in her grasp. By the time she returned to the banyan tree, her hand throbbed with discomfort. "Observe how it rises, like the first rays of dawn. Watch as it fades, like the sun setting into the horizon." The Buddha smiled, his serene expression radiating kindness. "So too are the burdens of your thoughts, Anaya," he said. "Master, why is the breath so central to our practice?" Buddha looked at him with a gaze that seemed to penetrate to the core. "The breath is the thread of life," he replied. "It binds body and mind, spirit and world. In understanding it, you understand yourself." His words carried the weight of experience, resonating deeply within each listener. Time seemed to stand still as the teachings unfolded. "Learn to distinguish between them." He paused, allowing his words to settle among his disciples like ripples on still water. "Let it move naturally, unimpeded." He gestured with his hands, mimicking the gentle flow of water. "In its natural rhythm lies its wisdom, and in its wisdom lies your peace." The tranquility of the moment was interrupted only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant chirp of a bird. "Leave this pebble here, Anaya, just as you leave behind the burdens of your unnecessary worries. The path ahead is lighter when we let go of what no longer serves us." "When your mind wanders," he said, "do not chastise it. Simply notice and return to the breath. Each return strengthens you." Mahakasyapa, known for his penetrating insight, asked a question that seemed to linger in the air. "Master," he said, "how can we learn to recognize the pebbles in our own minds?" The Buddha leaned forward slightly, his presence radiating warmth and patience. "Begin by asking yourself these questions," he said. "Each inhale and exhale arises and fades. Like all things." His words carried a profound simplicity, inviting the disciples to explore deeper truths. "Impermanence is not to be feared," Buddha continued. "It is the essence of freedom." As the sun climbed higher, its rays illuminating the sacred ground. The Buddha spoke once more. "Remember, my disciples," he said, "life is filled with choices. The choice to carry a burden or to let it go rests within you. Choose wisely, for the freedom of your spirit depends upon it." As the session continued, Buddha shifted his focus. "Now, let us observe the pause between breaths," he said. "That space holds the silence of the universe." His words were both a directive and an invitation, encouraging the disciples to explore the spaces they often overlooked. "In the pause, you find stillness," he said. "In stillness, you find yourself." The disciples followed his guidance, their awareness expanding to include the moments of stillness between breaths. These pauses felt like timeless voids, brief yet infinite. Buddha observed them closely, his presence a silent encouragement. "The breath is your teacher," he said, breaking the silence. "Listen to it, learn from it, and let it guide you." The teachings concluded as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the grove into twilight. "And in all your striving, have you considered your own inner voice? Does it align with your actions?" The young man furrowed his brow, confused by the question. "Master, I do not understand," he admitted. "In it, you find your anchor, your refuge, your truth." The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude, their minds illuminated by the light of understanding. The grove grew quieter as the disciples dispersed, their breaths now a shared rhythm, a silent hymn to the teachings they had received. The forest seemed to hum with an unseen energy, a testament to the transformative power of mindful breathing. Buddha sat alone, his eyes gazing into the distance, his expression one of serene contentment. The world around him settled into its natural rhythm, each breath a silent ode to the infinite. At first, the stone seemed light, its presence barely noticeable in his grasp. But as he ventured further, each step magnified its weight, until discomfort overtook him. Buddha sat under a Bodhi tree, his posture regal yet humble, his gaze serene yet piercing. The forest hummed with life, each sound blending into a symphony of calm. Buddha began his teaching, his voice carrying the weight of compassion and clarity. "Today, we shall breathe not for ourselves alone," he said, his words deliberate and steady. "Through the breath, you can extend kindness and healing to all beings, near and far." The disciples listened intently, their expressions reflecting both reverence and curiosity. Ananda, seated closest to Buddha, leaned forward as if drawn by a magnet. "The breath carries energy," Buddha continued, "and that energy can be transformed into compassion. Begin by breathing for yourself." With care, he paused, allowing the disciples to absorb his words and the serenity of the moment. "When you inhale, imagine kindness entering your being, soothing and healing you. When you exhale, release your suffering into the vastness. Tell me, young man," the Buddha continued, "in carrying this stone, did it serve your purpose?" "Number, Master," the young man replied, shaking his head. "It only reminded me of my discomfort, though I continued to hold it." "Compassion begins within," he said. "You cannot pour from an empty vessel. Heal yourself first, then let your breath ripple outward." The disciples closed their eyes, their breathing growing deliberate yet gentle, guided by Buddha's wisdom. The air around them seemed to vibrate with an invisible energy, charged by their collective intention. Buddha watched them, his presence a beacon of guidance and support. "Now, imagine your breath as a wind," he said. "Let this wind carry love and compassion to all corners of existence. Expectations that nourish your spirit will carry you forward." Another disciple stepped forward, his curiosity evident. His words painted vivid images, turning the abstract into tangible experiences. The disciples began to sense the interconnection between their breaths and the world around them. Buddha's disciples stood nearby, observing the transformation with quiet awe. Creativity requires trust, Buddha explained. Turning to address them, the young man, now free of his self-imposed weight, joined his fellow disciples in meditation. His mind felt lighter, his spirit unburdened. His statement carried both a mystical and practical truth, inspiring deeper exploration among the disciples. Time flowed like a gentle stream as Buddha guided them through the practice. The air felt lighter, the atmosphere imbued with an inexplicable sense of unity. When you exhale, Buddha said, visualize your compassion as a light, illuminating the darkness of others' suffering. His instructions were poetic yet precise, resonating deeply with each listener. The tranquility of the grove was interrupted only by the occasional chirp of birds or rustle of leaves. The disciples remained immersed in their practice, their breaths becoming conduits for compassion. Buddha observed them, his expression unwavering, his presence an anchor in their journey. Compassion is not a feeling, he said. It is a force, a commitment to relieve the suffering of others. A gentle breeze swept through the grove, as if echoing the disciples' collective intention. Buddha's voice rose above the rustle, a steady guide in their exploration. Breathe as if the world depends on it, he said. For in truth, it does. Your breath creates harmony. His words carried a profound simplicity, transforming the mundane act of breathing into an act of global kindness. As the session unfolded, Buddha shifted his focus to a deeper layer of the practice. Do not discriminate, he said. Let your compassion flow to the saint and the sinner, the known and the unknown. His statement challenged the disciples, urging them to transcend their personal biases and embrace universal love. Their breaths deepened, their practice enriched by this newfound perspective. The disciples began to sense the transformative power of their breath, each inhale and exhale becoming an act of service. Buddha encouraged their exploration, his presence like a lamp guiding them through the darkness. Compassion is boundless, he said. It is the sky within which all beings reside. Breathe as the sky breathes. Ananda, ever devoted, spoke with heartfelt curiosity. Master, how does breathing for others change our own suffering? Buddha looked at him with a gaze that seemed to reach into his very soul. Peace returns to the water, he said, his voice tinged with awe. The Buddha gestured toward the bowl, his voice gentle yet firm. His words carried the weight of experience, resonating deeply within each listener. The teachings concluded as the sun reached its zenith, casting long shadows that stretched across the grove. But Master, the farmer protested, his voice filled with doubt. How can I remain still when my fields lie barren? My work undone? By understanding this truth, the Buddha replied, you cannot control the winds or the rains, nor their absence. What you can control is your own response, your own inner peace. Amidst these trials, in it, you find unity, purpose, and peace. The disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with gratitude, their minds illuminated by the light of understanding. The grove grew quieter as the disciples dispersed, their breaths now a shared rhythm, a silent hymn to the teachings they had received. The forest seemed to hum with an unseen energy, a testament to the transformative power of compassion. Buddha sat alone, his eyes gazing into the distance, his expression one of serene contentment. The world around him settled into its natural rhythm, each breath a silent ode to the infinite. Another day, another teaching brought the disciples together in Jetavana Grove, where the air carried a profound stillness. The afternoon sun painted long, golden rays across the forest floor, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow. Buddha sat beneath the familiar Bodhi tree, his presence serene and unyielding, his gaze steady as still water. The disciples gathered in silent reverence, their hearts open to receive the day's wisdom. Buddha spoke, his voice calm yet penetrating. Today, we journey into the breath as a doorway to liberation. Listen with your entire being. The disciples adjusted their postures, their spines upright, their hands resting gently on their knees in preparation for the teaching. Breathing reflects impermanence, Buddha continued. Each inhale begins, reaches its peak, and fades into an exhale. Observe this cycle closely. The leaves above swayed gently in the breeze, as though nature itself heeded Buddha's words. When you observe the breath deeply, he said, you witness the arising and fading of all phenomena. This is the truth of impermanence. His words were deliberate, each sentence carrying the weight of lived experience and deep understanding. Kashyapa, his wise disciple, raised a thoughtful question. Master, how does understanding the breath lead us to liberation? Buddha turned his gaze to Kashyapa, his eyes filled with compassion and clarity. By observing impermanence, Buddha replied, you let go of clinging. Clinging binds you to suffering. Release it, and you find freedom. His statement resonated deeply, stirring a contemplative silence among the disciples. Buddha continued, impermanence is not an enemy, but a teacher. It shows you that nothing can be held or possessed forever. His hands moved gently, mimicking the flow of a river. Each breath teaches you to let go. In letting go, you uncover the peace that always exists within you. Forgiveness is not earned, it is given, Buddha replied. It is a gift to yourself and others. Unlocking peace and freedom. The disciple bowed his head, his thoughts reflecting the depth of Buddha's teachings on forgiveness and compassion. Hatred is a shadow cast by the mind, Buddha said. In this pause lies the stillness of the universe, vast and unchanging. His words pointed the disciples toward a deeper dimension of their practice, one that transcended the physical act of breathing. Master, what if hatred returns after I have forgiven? Dhanananda asked, his voice tinged with apprehension. Hatred, like waves, may rise again, Buddha replied. You realize that you are not separate, but part of the whole. His statement carried both mystery and clarity, inviting the disciples to explore the depths of their experience. Time seemed to slow as the disciples immersed themselves in the practice. Their breaths became anchors, their awareness expanding to encompass both motion and stillness. Buddha observed them, his presence a steady guide, his gaze as unmovable as the mountains. Liberation is not a distant goal, he said. It is here, in each breath, if only you see it. The session unfolded like a well-composed melody, each teaching building upon the last. Impermanence leads to understanding, Buddha said, and understanding leads to freedom. The breath reveals the path to this truth. The disciples rose, their spirits lifted, their minds clearer, and their hearts resolved to practice compassion and forgiveness. The sun reached its zenith, its golden rays illuminating the world as Buddha continued his teachings with serenity. In their hearts, the disciples carried Buddha's wisdom, each step taking them closer to peace and understanding. Hatred no longer loomed as a shadow over their minds, but as a lesson guiding them toward compassion and freedom. Fear is born of clinging. The breath dissolves it, like sunlight dispels shadows. His statement carried both practical guidance and profound insight. The disciples began to sense a shift within themselves, a lightness replacing the burdens they had carried. Buddha encouraged their exploration with quiet confidence. Freedom is not something you achieve, he said. It is something you uncover. The breath removes the veils that obscure it. His analogy painted a vivid picture, making the abstract tangible and accessible. Sariputta, known for his clarity of mind, raised a question that hung in the air like a bell's resonance. Creativity is not an act of isolation, he said. It is a thread in the vast web of existence, woven with mindfulness and intention. It is the state where arising and fading cease. It is nirvana. Buddha's presence radiated calm as he turned toward the path leading away. Carry these teachings with you, Buddha said. his voice steady and calm. Let your creations reflect the harmony of the present moment. The group watched as Buddha walked away, his footsteps light yet purposeful. It must be experienced. The breath is the bridge that leads you there. His statement carried an air of both simplicity and profundity, encapsulating the essence of his teachings. As the session neared its conclusion, Buddha offered a final instruction. Let each breath remind you of your true nature, he said. A nature that is vast, boundless, and free. His voice held a quiet authority, a certainty born of deep realization. The disciples bowed their heads, their hearts filled with gratitude and their minds illuminated by the light of understanding. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the grove as the teachings came to an end. The disciples dispersed, their breaths now a shared rhythm, a silent hymn to the wisdom they had received. The forest seemed to hum with an unseen energy, a testament to the transformative power of the teachings. Buddha sat alone beneath the Bodhi tree, his eyes gazing into the distance, his expression one of serene contentment. The world around him settled into its natural rhythm, each breath a silent ode to the infinite. The grove, now quiet, held the echoes of his wisdom, a sacred stillness that lingered long after the teachings had concluded. This bridge may seem humble, Buddha said, but its purpose is no less meaningful than the grandest of structures. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.